Humanity did not enter the galaxy with loud words or strong threats. They arrived quietly, carrying translators, cultural guides, and a deep wish to belong. When the interstellar union finally opened its gates to Earth, many species expected fear, arrogance, or chaos. What they found instead was curiosity. Elias Rourke stood inside the Grand Exchange Station, watching light move across walls made of living crystal. The station floated between star systems and belonged to no single species. It was a place of rules, balance, and careful distance. Elias had trained for this moment for years. As a cultural linguist, his task was not to negotiate power or resources, but meaning. He adjusted the small translator at his ear and took a slow breath. Humans were still new here. Every movement mattered. Every word carried weight. Across the wide chamber, the Orli delegation waited. They were taller than humans, their forms slender and graceful. Their skin shimmered faintly, like moonlight on water. The women stood in the front, calm and unreadable. The men remained behind them, silent and observant. Elias had studied their society closely. Among the Orli, women held authority in science, culture, and diplomacy. Emotion, however, was another matter. The Orli believed emotion was dangerous. Elias stepped forward and bowed slightly, a human gesture of respect that had been approved by 3 different committees. The lead Orli woman turned her glowing eyes toward him. Her name was Sathara. She was a senior researcher, assigned to observe human behavior during the early stages of integration. Her expression did not change, but Elias felt the weight of her attention settle on him. "You are the human cultural interpreter," she said through the translator. Her voice was smooth, calm, and precise. "Yes," Elias replied, "I am honored to work with you." Sathara studied him for a moment longer than required. Humans notice such things easily. Orli usually did not. "Honor is a personal concept," she said. "We will proceed with efficiency." That was how their work began. Over the following weeks, Elias and Sathara met daily inside quiet observation chambers. They discussed language, history, and social habits. Elias explained human greetings, humor, and storytelling. Sathara asked detailed questions, recording every answer with careful focus. At first, everything followed protocol. Elias kept his tone respectful. Sathara kept emotional distance. That distance, however, slowly began to shift. It started with stories. Sathara requested examples of human communication that were not used for instruction or command. Elias hesitated, then offered a simple story from Earth, about a man who waited every day on a bench to meet someone he loved. "There is no transaction in this story," Sathara said afterward. "No strategic outcome." "That's true," Elias replied. "Sometimes stories exist only to help us feel understood." Sathara did not answer immediately. Her fingers rested against the data surface, unmoving. "Humans value this sensation greatly," she said at last. "Why?" Elias thought carefully. "Because life is uncertain. Feeling connected helps us face that." Sathara recorded his words, but something about her posture changed. A small shift, almost unnoticeable. After that day, she began asking different questions. She asked about music, about laughter, about why humans formed bonds that caused pain when lost. Elias answered as simply as he could, never realizing how deeply his words were affecting her. Among the Orli, emotional bonding was not forbidden by law but by culture. Their history taught them that strong emotional attachment caused instability. Long ago, they had chosen logic over feeling. Their society thrived, but at a cost none of them discussed openly. Sathara had never questioned this before. She began to notice changes within herself. Her thoughts wandered after sessions ended. Human expressions lingered in her mind. She found herself replaying Elias' stories, not for data, but for something else she did not have words for. One evening she remained in the chamber after Elias left. Her reflection stared back from the crystal wall, glowing softly. The sensation in her chest was unfamiliar, Not pain, not fear, something warmer. Elias also noticed changes. He looked forward to their meetings more than he should. He noticed how Sathra tilted her head when thinking, how her glow brightened slightly when he spoke with passion. He told himself it was simple fascination, cultural curiosity. Still, he found himself choosing stories carefully, hoping they would interest her. One cycle, Sathra asked a question not found in any research outline. Do humans choose who they bond with, she asked, or does it occur without intent? Elias paused. Both, he said honestly. Sometimes we choose, sometimes it happens before we understand it. Sathra's glow flickered. That is inefficient, she said, though her voice lacked certainty. Maybe, Elias replied gently, but it's also beautiful. Silence stretched between them. Later that day, Elias received a restricted file from the Union archives. It contained biological information about the orali that had been previously classified. He read it alone in his quarters, his expression slowly changing. Orali women could only form one true emotional bond in their lifetime. Such bonds were permanent. They altered neural pathways. They could not be undone. Elias felt a knot form in his chest. The next session, he noticed Sathra seemed distracted. Her responses were slower, her glow less controlled. Are you well? He asked before protocol could stop him. Sathra hesitated. I am experiencing variance. Elias swallowed. Sathra, there's something I need to tell you. She looked at him fully now. Proceed. He explained what he had learned, his words careful and respectful. As he spoke, Sathra's glow intensified, then softened, like light passing through mist. That information was restricted, she said quietly. I know, Elias replied. I thought you deserved to know. Sathra closed her eyes. When she opened them again, they shone with something new. I believe, she said slowly, that the process has already begun. Elias felt the weight of her words settle between them. If this continues, she said, I will be changed, permanently. Elias' voice was barely above a whisper. And what will happen to you? I would lose my position, she replied. My authority, possibly my place among my people. And me? Elias asked. You would be removed from Orali space, she said. Humanity would be viewed as a destabilizing influence. Neither spoke for a long moment. Finally, Sathra said, I was taught that emotion weakens clarity. And do you feel weaker? Elias asked. She considered the question carefully. No, she said, I feel aware. That night across the station, unseen by councils and observers, a boundary quietly shifted, not through rebellion, not through force, but through understanding. And the galaxy, vast and ancient, had no idea what had just begun. The days after that quiet realization did not feel dramatic on the surface. No alarms sounded. No officials arrived. The station continued its slow orbit between stars, calm and bright. Yet for Elias and Sathra, everything felt different, as if the air itself had changed. They continued their sessions, because stopping would raise questions. Protocol demanded consistency. But the way they spoke, the pauses between words, and the silence they now allowed carried new meaning. Sathra became more observant of herself. She noticed how her thoughts no longer stayed neatly ordered after meeting Elias. Ideas blended together. Memories connected in ways she had never experienced. When she reviewed data logs, she sometimes found herself adding personal notes, something no Orali researcher did. Elias noticed too. Sathra asked fewer technical questions and more reflective ones. Why do humans create art that has no purpose? She asked one cycle. Elias smiled slightly. Sometimes purpose isn't the goal, expression is. Expression of what? She asked. Of being alive, he answered. She recorded that, but she also repeated it softly to herself, as if testing how it felt. Outside their sessions, changes began appearing among other Orali women assigned to human interaction. It started with small things, longer conversations, requests to observe human leisure activities. Orali researchers, once known for strict efficiency, began requesting time extensions. The Orali Council noticed. They called it emotional drift. Internal reports showed increased creativity among certain researchers, but also rising unpredictability. The cause was clear: humans. A quiet investigation began. No accusations, yet only observation. Sathara sensed it before being told. The Orali had excellent intuition when it came to systems and patterns. She noticed increased monitoring around the human sectors, more data requests, more silence from her superiors. One cycle, she arrived at the chamber earlier than usual. Elias was not there yet. She stood alone, hands clasped behind her back, her glow dimmer than normal. When Elias entered, he immediately sensed something was wrong. "They are watching more closely," Sathara said before he could speak. Elias nodded. "I've felt it too." She turned to face him. "I have reviewed historical Orali records. Emotional bonding was not always forbidden. It was discouraged." "What changed?" Elias asked. "A period of instability," she said. "Strong bonds led to choices driven by attachment rather than logic. Our leaders decided order required sacrifice." "Did it work?" Elias asked gently. "Yes," Sathara replied. "We became stable, advanced, predictable." She paused. "But stagnant." That word felt heavy. Elias took a careful step closer, not touching her but closing the distance. "Humans struggle with chaos every day," he said. "But emotion helps us adapt. It pushes us to change." Sathara looked at him. "You believe instability has value." "I believe growth does," he said. That night, Sathara did something unprecedented. She requested access to human music archives. Sound filled her private quarters for the first time. Not structured communication tones, but melody, rhythm, voices filled with feeling. Her glow shifted with the sound, responding without instruction. She felt tears form, though she did not yet understand why. At the same time, Elias found himself reporting less and observing more. He stopped sending certain personal observations to the Union, not out of fear, but out of respect. Sathara's inner changes did not feel like data to be measured. Word spread quietly among Orali women. Human presence caused something rare, awakening. Some were frightened, others curious. A few sought it deliberately, not romance at first. Conversation, shared silence. Storytelling. The council's concern grew. A formal inquiry was announced. Sathara was summoned. She stood before the council chamber, composed but altered. The elders studied her glow carefully. It carried variations they did not like. "Your recent data contains irregularities," one elder said. "Expansion," Sathara corrected calmly. "Emotion," another said. "Perspective," she replied. Silence followed. "You have been influenced by the human," the lead elder said. "Yes," Sathara answered truthfully. "Do you deny emotional bonding?" the elder asked. Sathara paused. In that moment she understood something profound. The bond was not complete, but it was forming. Denial would not stop it. "I acknowledge emotional connection," she said. The chamber grew still. "You are aware of the consequences," the elder said. "Yes." "Why continue?" another asked. Sathara's answer was simple: "Because I am more than I was." The council did not remove her immediately. Instead, they imposed observation, restricted access, limited contact with humans. When Elias learned of this, he felt a deep ache. Not panic, but responsibility. He requested a private audience with union mediators. Humans, he explained, were not trying to disrupt. They were not aware of the depth of their emotional influence. But now that they were, hiding from it would be dishonest. "This is not manipulation," Elias said. "It's resonance." The mediators listened, concerned. Meanwhile, Sathara struggled with distance. Without regular sessions, the bond felt strained, like a melody cut short. Yet even in absence, she felt Elias' presence. His ideas shaped her thinking. His stories replayed in her mind. She began documenting her internal changes honestly, even when it scared her. Creativity surged. New theories formed. Problems once unsolvable suddenly felt flexible. Emotion did not weaken her mind, it expanded it. One cycle against protocol, Elias sent her a message. Simple, no emotion-heavy language, just a story. It was about Earth's night sky, about humans looking up knowing they were small, yet choosing hope anyway. Sathra read it slowly, her glow brightened. At the same time, across the station, other Orali women began to speak openly to each other. Quiet gatherings formed. Shared experiences were exchanged. None spoke of rebellion, they spoke of feeling alive. The council could no longer ignore it. Humans were not conquering worlds. They were not demanding change. They were simply being human. And that, the galaxy was beginning to realize, might be the most disruptive force of all. Far from chambers and councils, Elias stood by a viewing window, watching stars pass slowly. He felt fear, yes, but also something stronger. Hope. Because if understanding could cross species, then maybe the universe was not as cold as it seemed. And maybe love, even forbidden, was not a threat to order. The station no longer felt neutral. Even though its halls were the same smooth crystal and soft light, there was tension beneath every movement. Observers watched more closely. Conversations ended faster. Silence followed Elias wherever he walked. Humanity was still welcome officially, but welcome had begun to feel conditional. Elias felt it most when he entered shared spaces. Orali women looked at him with mixed expressions, curiosity, caution, and something deeper they tried to hide. The men observed from a distance, uneasy but quiet. Humans, unaware of the full situation, continued their work, laughing softly, sharing meals, telling stories the way they always had. They did not know they were changing the galaxy simply by being themselves. Sathra spent more time alone now. Her access to human sectors was limited, and her reports were reviewed line by line. Yet the bond within her continued to grow, quietly and steadily. It no longer felt like something external. It felt like part of her. She noticed how she thought differently. Problems were no longer rigid shapes but flowing patterns. She imagined solutions instead of calculating them. She felt concern for others beyond duty. She felt attachment. The council summoned her again. This time, the chamber was fuller. Representatives from the Interstellar Union were present. Humans sat on one side, Orali elders on the other. Elias was there, standing among his people, his posture calm but his mind racing. Sathra entered alone. Her glow filled the room, brighter and less controlled than before. Whispers moved through the chamber. Orali elders exchanged looks. The lead elder spoke. This assembly will determine the future of interspecies contact. The words were heavy. Evidence shows that humans cause irreversible emotional bonding in Orali women, the elder continued. This threatens social stability. Elias felt his chest tighten. He stepped forward slightly but did not speak yet. Sathra was asked to explain herself. She stood tall. The bond is real, she said. It cannot be undone, murmurs followed. Do you claim this bond is beneficial? An elder asked. Yes, Sathra answered without hesitation. I am more capable than before, more aware, more complete. Emotion clouds judgment, another elder said. Sathra's voice remained calm. Emotion informs judgment. It does not replace logic, it gives it context. The union mediators exchanged glances. Elias was finally given permission to speak. Humans did not use authority the same way. Elias did not raise his voice. He did not accuse. He spoke the way humans always had when trying to be understood. Humans are not trying to change anyone, he said. We don't even fully understand how this happens, but we know what emotion has done for us. He paused, choosing simple words. We are not the strongest species. We are not the oldest, but we survived because we care, because we bond, because we help each other even when it's hard. He looked directly at the Orali elders. Emotion did not destroy us, it saved us. The chamber was quiet. One elder leaned forward. Your presence risks altering another civilization without consent. Elias nodded. That is a fair concern, but isolation will not stop this. The bond already exists. Sathra felt the truth of that deep within herself. The council withdrew to deliberate. Time passed slowly. During the wait, Sathra and Elias stood across the chamber, not speaking, not touching. Yet the connection between them felt strong, like a steady current. Sathra realized something then. The bond was not ownership. It was choice, a constant choosing to care. The council returned. The interstellar union will vote, the lead elder announced. One decision will be made. The options were clear. Humanity could be restricted, isolated from emotionally sensitive species. Or interspecies bonding laws could be redefined. The vote began. One by one, representatives spoke. Some feared chaos. Others feared stagnation. When it ended, the result was close. Very close. Before the final declaration, Sathra stepped forward unexpectedly. I request permission to speak once more, she said. The elders hesitated, then allowed it. Sathra turned not only to the council but to the entire chamber. I was created to serve logic, she said, to protect stability. I did that well. She placed a hand against her chest. But stability without growth is slow decay. Her glow softened, becoming warm rather than bright. I do not feel weaker. I feel responsible for my choices, for others, for the future. She looked at Elias briefly, then back to the council. If this bond is forbidden, you will not erase it. You will only teach us to hide. Silence followed. The final vote was announced. Humanity would not be expelled. Interspecies bonding would no longer be forbidden, but monitored. It was not full acceptance, but it was change. The chamber released a collective breath. Afterward, Elias and Sathra met privately for the first time in many cycles. They did not rush. They simply stood together. The future is uncertain, Sathra said. Elias smiled softly. It always is. She looked at him. Are you afraid? Yes, he admitted. But I think that means it matters, she nodded. Then I choose it. Across the station, quiet movements began. Orali women spoke more openly. Humans were welcomed with cautious curiosity instead of suspicion. The galaxy did not shift overnight, but something had changed. Not through force, not through dominance, but through connection. And somewhere between stars, humanity's greatest strength continued to prove itself. Not weapons, not technology, but the courage to feel.